Hey guys, Ray Bashir here with Blue Shield Tactical Systems. Today I wanted to talk about something that's important to me as a police officer, important to me as a trainer, and important to me as a supervisor, and that is value. What do I mean by that? I mean valuing the personnel that you work for as a supervisor. And you know, that's a concept that there's many agencies out there that practice that. And for those ones that do, this video does not pertain to you, and you do a good job, and for that I commend you. But let's look at the ones that don't. You know, many times we think that an officer leaves an agency because of money. You know, we think that they're going to go somewhere else and make more money. That's the reason they want to leave our agency. And many times that's not the case. It's how they're valued within that agency. It's whether or not the administration cares for them as a human being and cares for them as an employee. And for the ones that don't, you know, that's the reason a lot of times that they leave and they want to go find somewhere else to work where they feel like they're a part of that team. And, you know, there are cases where some people do legitimately leave for money. But I've often seen it as well where officers won't leave an agency to go and make more money because they're happy. You know, I had an experience, this is an example just to give you, it was several years ago that I had an experience and I was on a board to promote. And I'd gone in front of this board. It was an external board that was made up of administrators from other agencies. And the concept of what we were talking about are some of the same things that I'm talking about now, and that's valuing the employee and valuing them by telling them that, you know, we appreciate what you do. And this administrator said, well, you tell them to put their big boy panties on and go back to work. And that was word for word what he said. And I was angered at the time, and I thought to myself, I cannot imagine working for you, and I cannot imagine the personnel that are under you with that type of mentality. And I really regret to this day not saying something to him at the time. And no, it wouldn't help me with that situation at all. Of course not. But at the same time, maybe it would have made a difference. I don't know. I doubt it. But I would like to have think that it would have. You know, they've done surveys with officers and found out that most of the stress that officers receive comes from within their own agency, not outside their agency. You know, and when you think about that, officers are worried about being shot out on the street. You know, they're being cursed at, they're being spit upon, they have all these issues that are going on, and they're receiving more stress from within their own agency. That's amazing to me. It's sad if that's the case. If that's the case within your agency, that's a sad state of affairs. You know, administrators often say, there's some that say, and the ones I'm talking about, the toxic ones that are out there, they say, well, you know, they work for me. And that's just not the case. You as an administrator are supposed to work for them. You're supposed to make it where their job is smooth. You know, when they need equipment, it's bought for them, it's supplied to them. When they make requests for vacation, you're really looking at it, you're getting it taken, or they're making a request for a school, it doesn't sit on your desk, you know, for a month, and then they miss the class that they wanted to go to because you didn't send the paperwork in, and you didn't you know, send it back down the chain of command with the approval. The things like that mean a lot to them. And there's such a disconnect, guys, in my opinion, between some administrations. Like I said, if you're not one of those administrations and you don't work for that type of agency, I commend you. But there seems to be such a disconnect between administration and patrol. You know, it's for some reason, I mean, there are people out there that become administrators that spend very little time in patrol. And, you know, they don't realize what those patrol officers have to put up with on a daily basis. No one, most likely, is going to come into your police department if you're an administrator and shoot you while you're sitting behind your desk. You don't have to worry about eating your meal and want someone walking up and trying to kill you. You don't have to worry about someone cursing at you and spitting on you. You don't have to go out and worry about seeing a 3-year-old child that has been killed by their own parents. These are the things that those officers are dealing with. And they need the support of their administration. We wonder why some of them see the out as stepping out into a parking lot and putting a gun in their mouth and killing themselves. It's often because they didn't have anyone to turn to. They didn't have anyone to speak with, and they didn't feel like they could. within their own agency because it would make them look weak. Guys, we have to start having dialogue. We have to start valuing our officers. We have to tell them that we appreciate what they do. We also can disagree. You know, it's amazing to me, some of the administrators, the ones I'm talking about, that you can disagree with and then they retaliate against you. Guys, what kind of environment is that? Where you don't feel like you can have any input into the agency and the operation of it. You know, let me tell you something. I'm definitely not always right. That's for sure. My wife, I guarantee, will point it out to me on a regular basis. But we should be able to have that dialogue. And just because you're an administrator, just because you're a supervisor, doesn't mean you're always right. You know, just because you're a patrol officer doesn't mean you're always right. And we should be able to disagree about something without having to worry about retaliation from our own agencies or our own administrations. You know, and there's no environment that, if it's that type of environment, it's very toxic. We talk about thin blue line in law enforcement, and sometimes we're treated with more disrespect from our own personnel and our own officers and our own agency, and we're not supportive of each other the way that we should be. Guys, if your brother or your sister in law enforcement is hurting, be there for them. Make a difference. Do something different. Make the police departments a better place. Make that environment where people want to be there. You know, that's why we have suicide in law enforcement to some degree, because they don't feel like they can talk to anyone. They don't feel like they can have a conversation with someone and tell them how they feel without being ridiculed. And that shouldn't be the case. Guys, if you're working for one of those toxic departments, look at going somewhere else. Not every place is like that. And for the departments, again, they're doing a great job, and to keep our brothers and sisters safe and to make them feel valued in what they do, thank you. Watch your six. Be safe out there. Thanks.